January 19th, 2024. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels: YouTube, Twitch, X, and Apple Podcast. You can also listen to us on your smart speaker. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also on online radio, which you can listen to it on our website, which is thesportscast.net. Also, you could download our app, the Sportscast for iOS. They call it the most exciting weekend after the wild card weekend, NFL wild weekend. Now it's the NFL divisional playoff weekend. And join us from up north, he had to shovel his own driveway. Ryan Christa, welcome back to the Sportscast.
Santiago, I wish I could take credit for it, but I do hire somebody to plow my driveway. So
that is awesome. you are you are able to hire someone. Good for you. Anyways, Ryan, Christa, how is the weather up there? Obviously, everyone was seeing what happened with the Steelers and the Pittsburgh the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Hills game where it was postponed from Sunday to Monday. But how was the weather last weekend over there?
Yeah. Well, so I obviously I don't know if people are familiar with Western New York, right? I live in Rochester, which is about 60 to 60. From the 60 about 60 miles from downtown Buffalo, about 75 from Orchard Park, where Highmark Stadium is. But we're the way things weather patterns work here is that we're on different lakes. So Rochester is located on Lake Ontario, while Buffalo is located on Lake Erie. And most of the weather system this time of year is driven by lake effects. So a lot of times it's really totally unpredictable. So last week, there was talk, you hear about maybe moving the game, moving the time, and it's just like, I don't know if it's going to be that bad. But, hours leading up to this, Sunday, the weather pattern really changed. And it looked, where Orchard Park is really in what they call a lake effect band. So when weather happens, it hits pretty hard there. Monday afternoon, my family and I was able to go up to Buffalo, not to go watch the Bills game, but actually had previously planned going to the Sabres hockey game. And we were driving around, and you see the pictures online, but you drove around. Most of the area of Buffalo is pretty much under control, but there are several spots in these lake effect bands where you couldn't see you just basically you drove and you couldn't see anything around you, So you could definitely see why, the game was postponed, because it was, the scenes were crazy, amount of snow that was dumped in such a short amount of time, Frankly, they weren't even really able to clean the stadium up. Most people had to stand the whole game because the snow was so piled up there, and they got the field uncovered, and, Western New Yorkers do what Western New Yorkers do, and they just made do, But, they had a little more weather here the last couple of days, But I think things should be good for Kansas City to fly in, probably tomorrow, and the game to be played scheduled Sunday afternoon.
Yep. Well, we'll get to that game a little bit later in the show because we'll be previewing the NFL divisional playoffs. But before we get into the NFL, there is some action in the NBA, believe it or not. There were some trades a couple weeks ago, and there was a major trade this week. Raptors sent Pascal Siakam. He's a star to the Indiana Pacers, where Toronto got in return Bruce Brown, Jordan Nwora, and 3 first-round picks. Ryan, tell us, is this a major trade deal, or hey, nothing to see here?
Oh no, this is a big thing, Gary. Pascal Siakam was, really the last block that was there from the Raptors championship. In was it 17? 18?
Man, it's been that bad. It's been way back.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. So he was kind of growing into a star. After Kawhi left, he really kind of took over this team. But the Raptors understand he's a pending free agent. The Raptors really just want to really unload this team. They moved on from Nick Nurse. They got some pieces they like. Scotty Barnes and all that. So this, you get some, okay pieces in Jordan Nwora and Bruce Brown, but really what they got is, the 3 first-round picks to kind of keep building this roster up, and I think everybody's just kind of in love with what the Thunder have done here and kind of, want to use these trade pieces as assets and kind of build from the ground up. So we'll see what long-term project the Raptors are going after. But in the meantime, this really puts the Pacers, a team that was trending, real high so far this year. You got Halliburton and Turner, and now you added, you got
had an impressive win last night too, by the way.
Yeah, they're impressive. They're fastest team in the NBA in the sense of they got Tyrese Halliburton, who I know he's out right now. Actually survived. I don't know if everybody saw the images of him last week doing splits. Really survived. What could have been a major injury. But he'll be out for a little bit here. But when they get this team fully loaded, I don't know if they're up at the Bucks level. Celtics level, I mean, those two teams are, at full strength, I think a step above most teams. But the Pacers-Bucks rivalry is something that's trending, upward. I'd like to see those two teams playing a
little bit of a Midwest derby, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So, but in the short, I really pick them up there, as maybe the third best team in the East right now, with this trade. And the team that I wouldn't be surprised if they end up eventually coming out of the East. Rick Carlisle's, a guy who's been around there while coaching,
AKA so, Jim Carrey?
Yeah. Kind of, obviously, like I said, he's the fastest coach in the NBA. When he used to coach the Pacers back in the day, with Ron Artest, they were probably one of the slowest teams in the NBA. The NBA has changed dynamically, it's totally
and
different.
Dramatically.
Yeah, for better or for worse, depending who you ask. But the fact is the game has changed, I mean, you have 7-footers that just shoot 3-pointers now, and that wouldn't have happened years ago. But,
yeah, and also don't forget, Carlisle did coach your Dallas Mavericks at one point.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Anyways, Indiana is sitting at 7th place in the East, right below the Miami Heat at 24 wins and 17 losses. The East looks pretty packed. One thing I will have to really touch on, Ryan, is the Knicks. I think that trade, like you just mentioned, OG. Now, wow, I forgot how to say his name.
Yeah, another piece at the.
Tell us about that one. I think we talked about before. OG on Obi. The Knicks wanted him. Yeah. They were eyeing him for a while. They were willing to give up RG Barrett for him. How significant is this for the New York Knicks?
Oh yeah, I mean, he came in like a gangbuster. He really, kind of completes the team. Kind of plays the same way as RJ Barrett, but a little bit more complete. This is a very Tom Thibodeau. We talked about how the NBA has changed. Yes, this is about his 90 version of a NBA basketball team you can get. They're tough nose, they're physical. You got, OG, you got Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle. This team is not, high flying, up and down. This is a very, half court, very, meticulous in the way they play, on both sides of the ball. So I think this puts them. I don't know this. I think what the Pacers did was a little bit more, bigger of a move. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the Knicks also make a run. The East is really changing. We probably had this conversation 3 years ago. I was probably saying how bad the East was. Times have changed, and I don't think the Knicks are done dealing. They got another piece here, and Quentin Grimes. I think that they're willing to move to maybe find some more veteran, pieces to build off the roster.
There is something cooking in New York. Go ahead and finish your thought on the Knicks.
And we got 2 weeks in trade deadline, 3 weeks, somewhere on there. Right after the All-Star break. So, we'll see what happens. We'll see how teams finish up in the next 2 weeks leading up to the break, and I think GMs will look and see what's best for their team.
While we're on that topic, have any predictions or rumors you've heard for any major trades? I know there's small role players here and there, but anyone else that you think might be on the trading block, maybe join a championship team? Hey, my team right now, we're not going to win it this year, but hey, trade me to the Bucks or the Miami Heat. We have a chance there.
Like people like Zach Levine, those.
Yeah, he wants out of Chicago. Been hearing that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what Chicago's doing. They're kind of full of mediocrity, and they really a team that probably eventually just needs to get some of these high-priced mediocre players. Not mediocre, but they just don't really fit together. You got DeMar DeRozan, Zach Levine. We got Lorenzo Ball. I don't even know if they'll ever play again.
The only thing that happened in Chicago was that Ring of Honor ceremony this past weekend.
Yeah, I could just see them really, they blowing that up too. But we'll see. The NBA is really good about, I mean, that's the thing of basketball. It doesn't take as long, the process. You got to be thorough in the way you do things, But, tearing down the building.
Well, we'll see what happens with the Chicago Bulls. Of course, they don't miss Jerry Cross and those Chicago Bulls 6-time championship era. Before we go into the NFL, we had to say respects to Golden State's Warrior assistant coach Dejan Milojevic. He passed away this past week after a medical emergency at a team dinner in Utah. He suffered a heart attack. He was only 46 years old. Ryan, I didn't know much about him. If you did, tell us a little bit about it.
I don't know a whole lot about him. He's been around. He's his name around a while. Highly respected. You read articles about him. Just obviously it's sad, total shock. Caused slightly so a couple of games to be postponed. Another really bump in the road for this Warriors team. You'll see if events like this can kind of really tear you apart or bring you together. So we'll see what the future holds for the Warriors. Again.
Yeah, something to definitely look like. Warriors are sitting at 12th in the Western Conference. So we'll see if things turn around. Of course, other news from the Warriors was Draymond coming back into play. Obviously, he's a little rusty after being out for 3 weeks. And Commanders actually hired former GM Bob Myers, which is kind of weird to see an NBA former GM, but he's just an advisor. He's not the GM. People thought he was going to be the GM. He's just an advisor, but he could bring that winning spirit to the Commanders because they do need it, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to find somebody. Obviously, basketball, football are different sports, but the idea, how they built that roster up is such talent that obviously it's kind of in decline right now, and what goes up must come down, But, I think Bob Myers saw the writing on the wall, and I really frankly saw, I think, disagreement in the ownership, the owners just want to keep winning and winning at all costs. They're willing to spend money, but at the same time, there's a cap, and I feel like Bob Myers kind of feel like he hit a road, and that, and I don't really, I see it, obviously Steph Curry isn't going anywhere. Klay Thompson probably isn't going anywhere. They need to retool some things around there, but I could see they'll be all right.
He'll be all right as. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, it is different, but just finding, being that advisor, kind of just that leadership, the general leadership, which he's kind of famous for in the Golden State. So,
yeah, bring that winning spirit to the Washington Commanders. We'll see what happens with the Josh Harris group era. Magic Johnson is in that group. He's been tweeting a lot about the Commanders, which is odd. I never knew that he was a football guy. So we'll see if he moves the needle in the NFC East, which is tough. Now with the Eagles kind of did not have a good season. The Giants are still in limbo. And, of course, the Cowboys are rehired Mike McCarthy. So there is an opportunity, a opening in the NFC East.
Yeah, I mean, goodness. I mean, what a terrible showing for the Cowboys and Eagles last weekend. I, I I wasn't surprised about the Eagles. I think they were trending that way. But the
Yeah,
Cowboys,
they
I mean,
lost
this team is
5 of the 6
10 11.
games in December.
Yeah, I mean, not a home game, but they were killing people at home. And, you're just kind of waiting all day for the Cowboys to turn it on, and they never really did. And, obviously got some garbage. But, yeah. But, yeah, so definitely a change for the Commanders. I don't think we're far off, I think they obviously weren't sold on Sam Howell being a long-term option. We'll see if they go after a quarterback here in the draft at all. So,
Yeah, tons of quarterback in this draft class. Definitely good opportunity to grab one. Michigan's quarterback declared this past week. There's an opportunity there. So we'll see what the Commanders do. Also, the Bears as well. They got to decide between Justin Fields or maybe get a first draft round pick. I can see Justin Fields going to the Commanders or maybe Pittsburgh Steelers. I've been hearing that rumor.
I think what I predict, and this is nothing more than just a prediction, Santiago, is that the Bears, I think, ultimately will run it back again with Justin Fields and use this number one pick, but I mean at the same time, you've had the number one pick in the draft 2 years in a row and you're never going to use it. That's really hard to pass up.
And there's a guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. that could help out Fields for a little bit.
There's this thing, the feeling that Caleb Williams doesn't want to play for Chicago. Now, if he doesn't, it kind of puts him in an awkward situation where they kind of got, I don't know where. I think ultimately he would love to play in Washington because I think that's where he's from. I believe he is from the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, Caleb Williams. So maybe
would not be a bad spot for the with the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, he's a freak player. I know it's USC struggled, but they were struggling to score points. They were struggling to stop people. So, a lot of their losses weren't on him. And I know he's got some maturity issues, I think, but at the end, I think he's really a no-lose situation. Drake May, I think he's got some great arm talent. I don't think he's a sure thing as Caleb Williams, as a player. But I mean,
right.
You're really right now looking for the next CJ Stroud,
Yeah, so far it's popping really well in Houston. Yeah. But which segues to our NFL divisional playoff preview. Ryan, are you ready for this sucker?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's get this show on the road. The Houston Texans, Ryan, flex is young muscle in the wild card. You said it, CJ Stroud. But they'll axe the tall task of facing the number 1 seed Baltimore Ravens, the AFC divisional round. There was no problems for Houston, Ryan, in the wild card round, routing the Cleveland Browns despite entering the game as underdogs. The defense brought Joe Flacco to its knees. Back down to earth with 2 pick sixes in the second half to seal the dominating 45-14 win. The remarkable run for the Texans continues with Stroud, showcasing why he is a contender in the Rookie of the Year race. As the top seed Baltimore Ravens get the wild card round off, 2 weeks off, most of their starters will play their first home playoff game since the 2019 season, Ryan. Ravens will also be looking for his first playoff home game since 2012. Ryan, who do you have? The Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore at MT Stadium.
Like I said, it's classic overachievers, Houston Texans. Going really from one of worst teams in the league last year. I mean, this just speaks of you find a coach, you find a quarterback. Football, you can really just change your fortune. I just really, in the end, I really, I think it'd be fun for the Texans to win because, mostly the Bills will host another game next week if they win. But, at the same time, the Ravens have been licking their chops, they're waiting for this moment. They finally got Lamar Jackson healthy for the playoffs. Overall, they're pretty healthy. I know Mark Andrews is, looks like
he's been practicing this past week, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they'll give it a shot. I mean, if they're loaded, they're tough to beat, and I think the Texans will give them everything they want in this game. I just think the Ravens just got a little too much more in the tank, but I would not be surprised in any of these teams to win. But my prediction, I think the Ravens win by you.
Ravens win healthily and overwhelmingly.
Play a little bit, back and forth in most of it, yeah.
Back and forth. Ryan said it might be closer than you think. Ravens are favorite for this game. It's Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Later on that Saturday night, a classic. Green Bay Packers at the Niners. NFC playoff matchup. 7th seed Packers became the youngest team, Ryan, averaged 25 years old to win a playoff game since 1970 NFL AFL merger, following the 48-32 demolition of the Cowboys. The postseason win was Green Bay's 37th all-time, tied with New England Patriots for the most in league history. On Saturday, the Packers will face the top seed San Francisco 49ers, marking an NFL high 10th playoff showdown between the two franchises, a classic rivalry, a classico. Niners 36 playoff wins all time, and one behind the Packers lead the all-time postseason series between these two historic heavyweights. Ryan, Christa, this time there's no Aaron Rodgers, but there's a guy named Jordan Love that's coming into play here. Young quarterback. He threw the most passing touchdowns, 32 in the NFL regular season, and has helped power the Packers to win in 7 of their last 9 games, including the playoffs. Niners, the best team in the NFC, stacked with offense. CMC, Ayuk, Debo. What's going to happen in Levi Stadium, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, January 20th.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good game. I think, obviously, they're all going to be good games. I think that's tremendous last week at Dallas. We talked about Jordan Love, what's up in his first playoff game. But this is a different, the 49ers are like the most complete team, in a while. And I won the Super Bowl. But when they're all healthy, and I believe they're pretty much all healthy, on both sides of the ball, they're a tough beat. I think the 49ers will handle the Packers pretty easily on Saturday.
Ryan has not picked an upset yet. Let's see if he picks it for the next game. The Detroit Lions, 13-5, won their first playoff game in 32 years. I think Ryan and I were kids when they beat the Los Angeles Rams in the wild card round. They seek to keep the good juju going in the divisional round by hosting the Buccaneers on Sunday, Ford Field. Baker Mayfield, Ryan, and company advancing by beating the defending NFC champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. Detroit has won Week 6 matchup against the Bucs, 20-6. I don't remember that game. Maybe Ryan did. At Raymond James. This time it'll be in Detroit. Jared Goff in that game threw for a season-high 353 yards, and tossed 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 12 catches for 124 yards and one of the scores. Baker was held to 206 yards, and he threw an interception to Detroit's cornerback, Will Harris. Will the Lions be able to keep their magical season alive? Ryan, who you have? The Tampa Bay Brady Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions, Ford Field, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, you talked about, last time the Lions won a playoff game. Frankly, I was playing for the local Henrietta Lions back then, Santiago, is my Pop Warner football team. But, Buccaneers again team played really well last weekend against the Eagles.
This week.
The Lions and Rams had a classic game together. They, back and forth. But really a fun game to watch. Again, I think this could be another one. I think where you could see both teams going up and down the field. I just think the Lions have got a lot of firepower. They're aggressive. They take the personality of their coach.
They're young. Dan Campbell is hot right now.
Yeah, I mean the guy's not afraid of anything, and his team's not afraid of anything, you know. But we'll see what happens. I think it'll be a closer game. But I do think the Lions, so I'm going to go the home team.
Ryan picks the home team. No upset yet. Let's look at this game. The Bills have ruled out, breaking news, Gabriel Davis, wide receiver, which he wasn't there last week when they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, so it might not be a problem. But, Ryan, the last time the Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills met in the playoffs, they gave us one of the greatest games in NFL history. Because I know because I watched it. Ryan watched it, not on tape delay. He watched it in real time. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes went back and forth, matching scores in the closing minutes. From the 2-minute warning of the fourth quarter to end of the game, there was 5 scoring plays, Ryan, if you don't remember that. 4 of them were touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
And one was a dramatic field goal. Those field goal kickers get credit at the end of a nearly impossible 13-second drive by the Chiefs to tie the game at the end of regulation. The Chiefs won on Travis Kelce's touchdown in overtime. If you wanted to make an argument for that as the greatest NFL game ever, it's not outrageous. We can only hope this weekend, Sunday Night Football on NBC, playoff rematch is close to that good. Ryan, what's going to happen? The Kansas City Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills, which the Bills are favored by 2.5 in Vegas. What's going to happen in the cold? Will it be snowing? Ryan, tell us. Please spread it out for us.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good rivalry between Mahomes and Allen. I don't think it's a hate about it. It's not
a Brady versus Manning rivalry.
No, but the more times they keep on playing in the playoffs,
it could be.
Because, yeah, like you reiterated that playoff game in Kansas City. I think one thing that's got to be noted in this team, Santiago, this is the first ever time Patrick Mahomes has not played a playoff game at Arrowhead Stadium. So I think that's something you got to watch up.
Good fact. Good, interesting fact.
Yeah. This is going to be a battle, Santiago, no doubt. I could see back and forth, 2 really heavyweights. Obviously, with everybody's America's favorite celebrity there, probably Taylor Swift.
You think she's booked the club seat in Buffalo? Do they have club seats in Buffalo?
She'll probably be in a suite, Santiago. No doubt about that. No, this is going to be a good game. I'm going to go with my hometown heart here and say the Bills pull it out, but without a little drama, So I do think it'll be a last-second Tyler Bass field goal. We'll send the Bills into the AFC Championship game.
Ryan Christa has picked no upsets. He's picked all the homers and the favorites. My only upset for this weekend is Tampa Bay, Ryan. Sue me if you don't like it. But there you have it. NFL divisional playoffs. Ryan has picked it. We previewed it. Get those bets in, which you could go on a pet stamp. Look in our description below. Ryan Christa, before you go, Mike McCarthy stays in the Cowboys for another season. Quick thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. After, Sunday, I thought the time in Dallas was going to be over, and I thought they might call the Bill Belichick, but I guess not.
And Bill Belichick got another interview with Atlanta this week, so that's a good sign for him there.
Yeah. It's something interesting. I really thought he was going to go with a team like, we don't know what the Eagles are going to do. I assume they're going to keep.
They're keeping Sirianni, but they might let go of some assistants. Maybe Matt Patricia.
Yeah, there's some issues, but I really it'll be interesting to see where Bill Belichick. I think ultimately the best landing spot will probably the job everybody wants is San Diego because you just want to you want to be able to coach a winner. So and then that's
you mean Los Angeles Chargers?
Yes, Los Angeles Chargers. Yes.
With Jim Harbaugh has been interviewed in Atlanta and Los Angeles. Vrabel, I believe, as well. I think for the Chargers, I've been hearing. Your predictions, who will get the Chargers job? Real quick.
I think he's got the first shot at it. That's my guess. But
who?
We'll see. Jim Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh. Where is Mike Vrabel going to go?
Not
New England. Jared Mayo is going to coach there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Maybe he skips this one out. I see him skipping it out, but that's just me.
Steelers keep Mike Tomlin, staying for another season. That's a little bit of a last hurrah, I think.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. I think the guy is one of the most underrated coaches we have here in football. All he does is win. Maybe he doesn't win a championship, and maybe it's not flashy, but all he does is just win games. So.
Bill O'Brien is going to Ohio State as
Yeah,
defensive coordinator.
he's a good offensive mind. I think he worked really well in Alabama. And hey, I think I just checked another Alabama player just hit the portal.
Yeah, hit the portal. Crazy. They're leaving. Some the Washington players are actually moving into to Alabama. So it's a whole new era there.
I think Kalen DeBoer was a really good hire, but there's a little bit of reality check here for Alabama. They may take a tiny step back this year, but don't be alarmed. We'll be back. So.
We'll be back. Anyways, before we go, Ryan, question of the day. What is your favorite flavor coating on popcorn? Options are caramel, plain butter and salt, chocolate covered, or cheddar cheese.
Oh, caramel.
Caramel is winning. So everyone is going with Ryan, 44%. Butter and salt at 11, also chocolate covered 11, and cheddar at 33% is actually second. So that's pretty popular. Go vote on the the X poll, and see what happens there. Ryan, what is the best way to reach you online? Hey, if you had a cheat day this weekend, would you eat pizza or wings?
Both.
And what's the best way to reach you?
Mad Dog Report 18.
Mad Dog Report 18. You can reach us at thesportscast.net, our website, or on X, IG, the Sportscast 1. Go ahead, Ryan. Give us some closing words. Hello?
Are you blue cheese or ranch with your wings?
Blue cheese or ranch all the way. Ranch is the best sauce ever made in humanity.
Well, you agree with my son, though. He is a big blue cheese fan.
How about you?
I like them both.
Sometimes you mix it up together.
Yeah, you could. I've done it.
Ryan, there's one restaurant you should check out once you come back to South Florida. You got to go to Flanagan's.
You go there a lot. I see you.
Yeah, that is the best one, the best Florida home base. They don't do franchising. They want to keep it local and fresh. I will definitely take you once you come down here again for your little
all
cruises.
Right, we'll do it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, there you have it. NFL divisional playoffs this weekend. It's the most exciting weekend, more than March Madness. I don't care what Ryan says. Enjoy it. Relax. So far, there might be some upsets. I think Tampa is the best chance for an upset, but we'll see what happens. Ryan, thanks for coming on to the Sportscast.
All right, Santiago. God bless everybody. Enjoy the football.
And this was